Hello, my name is Kevin Inequality, and this episode is on deviance. Deviance is performing behaviors and manners which go against the norm, like that guy who always picked his nose in high school. The two main types of deviance are primary and secondary deviance. Primary deviance is performing a deviant act while still remaining as someone of the norm, a conformist, if you will. So primary deviance is deviant behavior, but it's cool. You're still normal. However, that act may eventually get you labeled as a deviant, thus causing you to commit more deviant acts, which would then be considered secondary deviance. So the prank of streaking at the homecoming football game means you'll be labeled as deviant, but you're still considered somewhat normal. But coming to school naked every day and claiming you're a nudist means you'll definitely be labeled as a nudist, some secondary deviance that changes your identity. So what theory are we thinking about now? Well, calling someone a nudist is giving them a label, right? So I'm thinking of labeling theory, developed in the 60s, which claims that secondary deviance isn't really because we want to be deviant, but it's actually a result of what others think we would do, aka how they label us. Labeling theory is similar to Goffman's idea of a social stigma, which leads to the formation of attitudes, behaviors, and reputations. He claimed it can spoil the normal identity. As such, you may want to hide your stigma. You could do this by either passing or revealing. Passing involves not saying a word about your stigma. For instance, did you ever play that game Never Have I Ever? And then when you come to that one person that you know they've done some really crazy stuff, but then they just say, "Oh, I have nothing to say. I don't know." That's passing. Super irritating. Revealing, on the other hand, is a choice to reveal your stigma, usually in specific social situations for a variety of reasons, like when you talk about the fights that you get into to try to up your street cred. So after primary and secondary deviance, labeling theory, passing, revealing, social stigma, let's discuss differential association theory, which was made by Edwin Sutherland in the 30s. Differential association, as it sounds, is the association we make with, say, social groups, and from social interactions, which will influence our behavior towards deviance, especially if that group does some deviant behavior. So differential association theory is really just association with groups that are different. Notably, this focuses on how individuals become deviant criminals, on social outcasts called pariahs, or social outcasts called pariahs, not why they do deviant acts. Differential association theory is basically a social learning theory approach because it's learning socially. The why may be partially explained by the social disorganization theory, which is similar to what you've probably heard called broken windows theory. Broken windows theory is that unkempt things in a community increases thoughts of doing worse things. So people are thinking, well, obviously these people don't really care about their broken windows, so I bet they won't care about me stealing this car. Social disorganization theory focuses on the where the individual lives. Next, we have strain theory, developed in the 50s by Robert Merton. Pretty high yield. Strain theory suggests we are all obligated to reach these culturally defined goals, but in reality, we lack the means to do so. Maybe you don't have the money, the time, the social capital, so we're pressured to commit some acts of deviance, like roids, for instance. Merton had 5 main classifications of this. First, conformists, which are people that reach the goals via the accepted means. Nothing special, they just conform, right? These people maybe are born into wealth, they just conform to their role. Not a bad place to start. Second, innovators use unconventional means to reach a goal, such as taking learning supplements for studying for the MCAT, or steroids, as mentioned before. Probably a good thing, might be worth your while to do both. Maybe not, who knows? Third, ritualists are the people you don't want to run into. These realize that they can't reach the socially desirable success, so instead, they enforce the laws for getting there. These ritualists will call you out on every single little mistake you make. Fourth, retreatists, who cannot reach the goals nor have the means and thus reject both. Such people are hippies or maybe the Amish. Finally, you have the rebels, which form new means and goals that are different from the goals and means that society had already put in place, while trying to make the society fit these norms that they make. This reminds me of a powerful quote from George Bernard Shaw. The reasonable man adapts himself to the world. The unreasonable one persists in trying to adapt the world to himself. Therefore, all progress depends on the unreasonable man. Please substitute woman, but same thing goes. Who may these people be? Well, how about Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Gandhi, Einstein, and many more incredible people worth emulating? Like Arnold Schwarzenegger said at this USC commencement address,
"We have so many rules in life about everything. I say break the rules, not the law, but break the rules. My wife has a t-shirt that says, well-behaved women rarely make history. Well, I don't want to burst her bubble, but the same is true with men. It is impossible to be a maverick or a true original if you're too well-behaved and don't want to break the rules."
And with that, that's the end of the episode.